I was street performing in St. Charles, Missouri, when a park ranger walked up and told me that I was soliciting for simply having a tip bucket.
Hey there.
Was he
Hi.
right?
How are you today?
Good, how's it going?
Not bad. St. Charles. The reason I want to talk to you is you're soliciting in the park with the tips.
Oh,
We actually can't do that. So
I'm sorry. I could have swore the law it was okay to take donations, but if I'm selling anything, then that's what the problem would be. But I might be mistaken.
yeah.
I'll.
Okay to play in the park. We just cannot be actively asking for anything. I mean, you have the tips jar.
And as I went home and did my own research and looked up the actual ordinance and laws of St. Charles, Missouri for street performing, I found this. And here it says, a performer may request contributions or money or property at a performance, provided that no sign requested contribution shall exceed 12 inches by 12 inches, which my tip bucket does not. It's pretty close though. But that's not what he was telling me what the problem was. But basically all the information here told me enough. It told me what I needed to know. And that is that he was wrong. It is not soliciting for me to simply take donations and tips while street performing in a public place in St. Charles, Missouri. This is not the first time where a cop has walked up to me and told me wrong information regarding playing music. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but if I were to make an assumption, which I will for the sake of this video, I would think that a lot of the time these officers are on a power trip, or they simply don't have a lot going on during the day. They haven't found anything. So they see a performer, someone who's sticking out, and they see me being very joyful, because usually I have a lot of joy whenever I'm performing, and in general whenever I'm playing music and I'm in all green and I'm moving around and you know, I got the light on my face, and it seems as though they are wanting to attack that energy, that positivity. I don't like making it as black and white as negativity and positivity, but the psychology of it is true. And it's true in general if you pay attention in the world. Whenever someone is being wholesome and has an open heart and very confident in that compassionate, joyful energy, and then somebody else, especially someone who has the psychology of wanting to keep control of people and wanting to one-up people and wanting to feel better than other people, feel like they are better, then they see that and they see someone enjoying their life, and if they're in pain, a lot of the time they want to bring those people down. Somebody made a comment on one of my videos, which is pretty relevant to this. It's hurt people hurt people. And yeah, so unfortunately for him, unfortunately for me, I've been doing a lot of work on myself. And I don't really like calling it work. I've been putting a lot of attention towards transforming myself to where I'm not affected by other people. So although this happened and it disrupted me a little bit in my attention and my mood for a second, I was very easily, or with ease, I was able to switch back on to joy. And whether he was right or not. Although there was still a little bit of tension within me, because I was attached to the idea of making money from music as I performed in St. Charles, because it pays for the gas, and just making money in general helps me fulfill certain goals that I'm still attached to. But in general, I was not affected by it as I may have been in the past, and as most people, or many people, probably would have been because I imagine that's what the officers are used to, is whenever they put this energy out to someone who has not done this type of psychological or spiritual or just work, this type of work in general, then those people who were positive and joyful usually don't stay positive and joyful. And I was able to do that. And in the interaction, I did kind of backfire a little bit, but not really backfire. More, I stood my ground saying, I'm sorry, but I could have swore the law said it was okay for me to take donations. And it turns out I was right. And the other police officer, like a year or two ago, walked up in St. Charles. He told me that I'm not allowed to be playing music with this speaker, and that I'll need a permit for that. And I looked it up. There was no such thing for needing a permit for a speaker to street perform in St. Charles. And you know, I've heard multiple people talk about permits and playing music on the street. So, I mean, there's that cop with the speaker, there's this park ranger told me I need a permit to get tips. And then whenever I first performed in St. Charles, unexpectedly, owner of a vegan coffee place told me I couldn't play outside of his venue, which is understandable. That's private property. And in that situation, I actually walked in and I asked if it was all right, but the owner wasn't there. It was just an employee, and they were like, yeah, that's probably fine. And so I went out there and I had my tip jar and I was playing my vegan music, and the owner shows up and he's all upset, which is strange to me. I just don't understand why someone who owns a vegan venue would be upset that a vegan artist is outside, even if I'm getting tips. Unless they're solely focused on making money and getting as much money as they can. But even then, if I'm getting tips, it doesn't mean that I'm taking away from the money that he can make. And me being there adds to the environment, the atmosphere. But it's in the past. And it's another example of someone who told me, because after that, I was like, all right, well, I'll just go down the street and play. He's like, and he had this very heavy energy. It was almost as if he was wanting to put me down in my energy. He's like, yeah, but you're going to need a permit for that. Like, you know, that type of like trying to put down my optimism. But I went and did it anyway, even though at that time I believed him. But I looked it up and there's no permits as far as I know. But I might be wrong. That's 3 different people that told me I'm going to need a permit for it. But for some reason, on the website, whenever I'd look up like what I'll need to street perform and simply take donations, there's nothing that says I need a permit. If I'm selling merch, if I'm selling CDs, t-shirts, goods, I'll need a permit. But to simply play music and take donations by request, I'm not even asking, it just says tips. Right here. It says tips. Now, I did have these CDs laying out in front. So, that could have been a reason to say I was selling these. But, as I've said throughout my videos, is I don't sell these. I give them away to people who donate to me. And it does say on their website that you can't give away or ask for specific numbers of donations. And so I've been saying I'll give these away to people who give me $20 tips or more. So I'm not going to say that anymore. But I never had a sign that said that. It was basically, I would just give them to people if they give me $20 or more. And so technically that's still legal because I'm not selling it. I'm just giving it to people. But I was kind of presenting it in a way that could look like I was selling it with the tips and then that right there. But the park ranger didn't say anything about that. He said just taking tips in general. So he was wrong about that. And it seems, as I said, all three of those situations, all three of those people, the person who was the owner of that vegan coffee place, and the cop who told me I couldn't play with the speaker. Now, he did say that someone complained. So that's actually ordinance. There's a certain amount of noise that we're not allowed to go past. A noise ordinance, but also if we're bothering someone, and if someone says that we're too loud, then I'm pretty sure that's what it says on the laws and ordinances. So that actually makes sense. And still to this day, I mean, I kind of believe that could be true. Especially I was playing some songs and like screaming, not screaming, but I was projecting and being very loud. And then that was the first day I met Jeff, the now friend and producer of my first album, Man Eating Fruit. And so he had a speaker too. And so we were being decently loud. And I mean, it might have been right at the noise ordinance. I mean, it was basically at the level of cars passing. Like, it wasn't super loud, like, which of course I think it was fair, because people be driving by blaring their radios and it's woo, 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 it's louder than us. But sometimes my voice is just annoying. And especially, like, I was playing House of the Rising Sun, and it was maybe the first time I ever actually performed it, like street performed it. So it was just like, I wasn't hitting the notes exactly right, and I was like very, so I could see how that could bother someone. But then again, we were playing music with people, and they were like hanging out, and they tipped us $20, and the business that we were playing in front of actually came out, and I think they tipped us too, and they're like, yeah, this is awesome, keep going. So like, it was positive energy all around, like, or just reinforcing people, just people who seemed like they were uplifted by what we were doing. There was not one person that seemed to be bothered by us, just people sitting and listening and jamming out and even singing with us. But that's why I think it's more likely that cop, and I'm pretty sure he walked up or he drove by whenever I was playing House of the Rising Sun, and I was maybe hitting a note that wasn't that good. So my assumption is that he saw me in this all green suit and just jamming out and being happy with confidence, and he probably thought, oh, that guy doesn't deserve that. Oh, he's not even good enough, or like something like that. And so he wanted to put me down as a power trip, as a power move, me and Jeff. And then I didn't even like fight it or anything, because I didn't really know the laws exactly. I mean, I read them a little bit, and I thought I was in the right. But again, my heart gave him the benefit of the doubt. And again, once I went home and read through the laws, I saw nothing saying that we could not have a speaker. There's just a noise ordinance, and then it also said that we can't plug into city street lamps or anything. We're not allowed to like put signs up against them and things like that. But it didn't say that we couldn't have speakers. It just said we can't plug them in to city light posts. So it seems as though all three of these people had this heavy resentment, envious energy. And what they're trying to do is not actually keep their business income strong and not have performers take money by taking tips, or keep the ordinance of performing with the speaker as long as you have a permit, because that doesn't exist, or just keep the ordinance of no soliciting, because I wasn't soliciting. They're not trying to actually follow the laws and the rules. They're trying to feel better about themselves by putting someone else down. And so I don't take this personally. I've gotten better at not taking it personally. Where it still irks me, but I'm able to let go, is my attachment to growing and still being able to go there and get donations whenever I play music, because that's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful thing to get paid for my time and my skills and what I'm offering. Now, it's not completely necessary, and I would absolutely love a world where I could just go there and play and not have to worry about making any money at all with my time that I'm spending there. But also in general, I've gotten much better just giving myself distance from that and not identifying with the physical world or any of this. I could just let go of it in any moment and go live in the mountains if I did not have a son to take care of. So he is my anchor in this physical world. Him and my passion for music, but I'm not attached to it. So I hold compassion for these people, and I understand that their psychology is making them like this. The way they were brought up and the way they are now is not who they are. It's just something they've accumulated. Their mind and their body. Their body is the food that they've eaten and it's accumulated. Their mind is the thoughts that they've been thinking in the way that they were brought up and conditioned. It's been accumulated. It's not actually who they are. Who they are or what they are is a miracle piece of life with so much potential. And so I'm not going to have resentment or put them down and call them out, even though a part of me, and in this video I'm sure it comes off as passively aggressive, and I'm like saying some things with some tone and some energy that is I just let go of it. It's on my mind. But some energy which is affected by them. But again, whenever I think about immortality, about how I could be dead in any moment, and this is such a short span of existence, there's no reason to try to put them down and prolong the type of energy that they projected onto me. I'm not going to try to put them down and make myself feel better, because generally we're all the same. We're all pieces of life and miracles. And some of us might be more capable of certain things or have more potential for certain things, but that has no actual existential value as much as just being alive and living. And so I will go back and I will take this with me, and I will respectfully communicate to them next time a police officer or anybody tries to tell me something as a power move, or just tell me something that I'm doing wrong, because I might be doing something wrong. I might actually be wrong. Maybe I do need a permit. Maybe I didn't read enough through the laws and ordinance. I'm not a professional. I don't exactly know. But I'm 90% sure that they are wrong. And ChatGPT helped me actually find this information much easier. I mean, earlier in the year, I did this by myself, and I read about the speaker and everything, and I did it without ChatGPT. But then to reinforce my conclusion, I used it, and yep, turns out I do not need a permit, and it is not soliciting. And I'm still not bringing a speaker, just because there is that noise ordinance, and I don't want to annoy anybody. So, well, I did bring a speaker last time, but I didn't use it like I said I would. And I will use it in certain spots, but generally I'll just be going acoustically. So, that's the video. Leave a comment down below. Have you ever been poked at by some authority figure whenever you were simply being yourself and being vibrant and joyful and just fearlessly being yourself out in public? And have you ever felt like they were just doing it to try to bring you down because they're hurt about themselves or it's a power trip? Leave a comment down below. Tell me about your experience. And I hope you hold compassion for them too, and not take the energy that they gave you and push it back at them. Because I do not find that as a solution. But also, I'm not all-knowing. Maybe I'm wrong. Leave your perspective. Thank you for watching. For the animals! Woo!